we can launch into questions if anybody has them. I know that the Google group has been relatively quiet the past couple of weeks, so I might not have too much to pull from.
I have troubles that Amaris knows about. Um, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble getting my thing, so I didn't raise my hand properly. But
No, you're fine.
I have troubles with a table, and I can't get the column widths right. So, Amaris, I did the video that you sent me, and it worked. It worked once. And then after that, it wouldn't work for me anymore. So I still have a right hand column that's too narrow.
Okay.
And I don't know if any of my fellow webmasters have tips for me about adjusting the width of the cells in a table, but I'm sure having a hard time.
Yeah, let's see if we can play around with it a little
Okay.
here.
It's that top
This one
one
here.
for some reason.
Okay,
Right.
let's jump into that. Yeah, so the trick is usually to save it in full HTML. Um, if you end up switching to WYSIWYG, it does revert back to the default width or the spacing. Um,
Right.
One other thing too that I had noticed was that there are two different tables here. So this is like the inner table, and then there's an outer table. I don't know if
Okay.
that
See,
makes any difference.
well, it might. I noticed you said that in the video, and I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about. So I could,
Oops.
okay.
Let me try. Yeah, so I didn't when I tested it out earlier this week, I had removed the inner table from the outer one to get rid of that outer one. Um, it looks like
Yes.
when I widen the outer table though, it's quite wonky. Um, we obviously want to see the inner table with the added width. It doesn't really matter if the outside table has it or not because it should move along with the inner table, but I don't know if this is what you're
Mhm.
looking for. So I've extended
Yes,
it.
that's exactly the way it looked now is the way I want it to look. I just can't get it to stay that way. And I've been editing since you taught me that. I've just been editing totally in HTML. Every kind of change I want to make, I'm making it in HTML. So I
Well,
don't
the
think it's
this
really,
you
go ahead.
can make the changes in WYSIWYG. It's just when you save, you have to save it in full HTML. And then if you go back and need to make changes when you switch it to WYSIWYG, it will revert. So then it would require you, widening the width again. But this is the result of the double tables. I don't think you want all
Okay.
this extra space,
No,
I'm
I
assuming.
don't.
Okay, so I am going to go ahead and remove the outer table. I think
Okay.
it's just easier to deal with one table. And we can keep those
Yes.
headings at the top of your page. Okay, so let's do it in WYSIWYG because it's always easier. So I'm going to highlight this whole table so that I can cut it out.
So you just can't, because I did a table myself for the first time,
Yep.
and yay. Um, and it had the same issue. I was thinking maybe if my brain went to do a PDF, that would help, and then upload it to the library. I'll call it the library, where you can then download an image. Would that be an option to do it as well?
Oh, yeah, that's always an option. That you at least know when it's a PDF, it's frozen, the
Yeah,
formatting.
I just think that that would be oh good. So at least that's a possible option then, because yes, it's kind of you have it. I had it in Word, and then I cut and paste it into here, and then the spacing goes haywire, And so I thought, okay, if I do a PDF, then that was okay. It's good to know. Okay, solves the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. Yeah, Word to MyLO is not always a complete 100% clean transfer. Um, so sometimes when you are copying formatted things like a table from Word, it's often sometimes easier to just copy out the kind of building blocks, so the text that create the columns, and then you create the table from scratch in MyLO. But working with this table, so I've cut out the internal table and now I'm going to go ahead and paste it. It keeps all
Okay.
the formatting because it was already in MyLO. And then now I'm going to also cut this text and let's remove that row. And then since the table goes all the way to the top of the body, what I usually do is either in full HTML or rich text, we just want to add a break. This is just so that we can have the space to add the text at the top.
Right. Right.
So now we have that little space. We can paste in what we had. Whoops. It accidentally, let's see if we can, I'm going to paste as plain text. Whoops. Because it brought in the table. And then now I can just, I think it was
It
Was that
does, yeah,
heading
and
two?
you can't adjust the width of the columns either. You're kind of stuck, right? It's
You can't adjust the width of the columns individually, but what you can do is extend the last column. Um, it won't evenly extend all of the columns, but one other thing that I had suggested as a possible workaround, if you have like this line is breaking into two,
Mhm,
if you wanted to force it to be all on one line, we would remove the space that we added with the keyboard,
mhm,
and there's a special character
okay.
tool
And so it's
here. And
okay,
then you can add the first one is called a no break space. It's a non-breaking space. So it would
okay,
force
okay,
this line to remain on one.
okay.
Um,
Good.
so let's
Mm.
just do that one more time. Insert the special character, and it keeps it on one line. So now let's go ahead and put that back to full HTML and jump to the very bottom and save that draft.
Right.
And so as far as the final column, when you're manually resizing the table, that's what is going to, get the most width. For any other columns to the left, the non-breaking spaces would be what you could use to essentially extend the width of those columns. But when you come back in,
Mhm.
if you aren't directly editing that, like say you're coming in to edit another part of the page, or you're not,
Right.
touching the body, it should remain the same. Um, I just want to,
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I had it looking pretty good one time, and then I went in and changed somebody's name because they told me so and so's quitting and so's taking over. And then after that, I could never get it back. So,
and
okay.
that was in WYSIWYG and trying to extend the table.
Right. I just couldn't do it.
I'm not sure why. But
Yeah.
definitely you're on the right track of, getting it to how you want it to look, and then
Right.
essentially freezing it by setting it to full
Right.
HTML.
Right. Okay. I get that. All right. Well, let's do that. Let's publish it because by golly, that's the best it's looked for a long time.
Okay, let's look at the draft. Let me make sure I didn't tweak anything. Okay, so you're ready to have this one published?
Let's do it
Okay.
before something else happens.
So since you are more experienced than I am in all of this, ladies, I was just curious. So, would you can think about doing a PDF? Would that ever interest you?
Well, it would. Now, when you say that, I confess, I don't know how to put that in. So if I wanted to use a blank, so would I just take a blank page and then I paste in as an image the PDF, or how does that work?
You can usually start with a Word doc. That's what I usually find the easiest, and then save it as
Okay,
a PDF.
right. But I'm
Um,
saying when you put it on the actual, put it on
oh,
the
gotcha.
website. you upload it as a medium to add a medium,
hmm
but then how do you get it on the page?
It would be a link to that PDF. So after you've uploaded it, once you select it to insert it into your content, it would show up as a link. And then they would, you know, open, when they click on that link, it would open in a new tab to view that PDF.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, so it comes in as a link, then it won't come in as an actual image.
No, because yeah, it's a document. Um, the other thing too that came to me about a PDF as opposed to it being on a page like this, editing this page, this online page is easier than editing a PDF. I mean,
Hmm.
editing the PDF in, Adobe or whatever it is easy in and of itself, but then you'd have to replace the existing file in MyLO. Um, so
Okay,
it's
so it's
it's a
really not
lot
hard.
of process
Okay,
for you. Yeah.
okay. I was just trying, what I thought could happen was, well, how about then, let me do it this way. How about if I do, well, if I do it in Paint, if I do take a document, well, that, I can't get that. I was just trying to find a way to create the document I want, the chart I want. I love doing charts. I love having links and things, and I'd like to have it set in stone and finding a way to get that on the website. But that's not possible. You're saying that I have to use a link, and people would have to open up a link.
Yeah,
To,
the only other way, like if you wanted it to be a preview of the PDF is through Google Drive. They do offer a way to embed a PDF. Let me see if I can find those instructions. Um, that that is the only, I guess, program that I've found that allows for a view of the PDF so that when somebody is visiting your page, rather than seeing a link to click to view the PDF, they see a preview of it right away, embedded into your page. So let me see if I can show an example of this. And actually, I'll also stop masquerading so I won't mess with your site anymore, Nancy.
Yeah. After we've got it going,
Yeah,
let's
I don't
not.
want to I don't want to make any changes, especially to this page.
I have a question about having your board members' phone numbers and emails on a public page.
This one is private.
It's not, this is not a public page. This is
Oh,
on the members only.
oh, okay. Thank you. Because I didn't see members only.
Yeah,
Oh,
it said something about internal use only, something like that.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. And then for good measure, we said, don't be spreading this around either.
Yeah. Yeah.
so Anne
Yeah.
Marie, oh, I'm sorry. I use the Google Drive link on our website because we have the voter newsletter that we
Mhm.
publish quarterly,
Mhm.
and the PDF is too large. It exceeds the 2 MB, so
Mhm.
I can't add it as a PDF. So
Mhm.
I do the link. So you can go to that page on my website, and I have those, and I love that because it
Yeah.
has the preview on the voter, and it has a nice box so people can just click on it and open it. It's really, I found, once you taught me how to do that, it came out really nice. So
What is your site again, Sandy?
Bucks County,
Bucks
Pennsylvania.
County. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, it's uploading files into Google Drive is rather easy. Obviously, it's another program to have to keep track of, but most of us nowadays are already using Google Drive. Which page would I find it
So
under?
go under news and then voter newsletters,
Okay,
and hopefully
loading a
they'll,
second. There we go. Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And so are
So
these embedded?
they're from Google Drive. Yeah. So
Awesome.
I go in, you can go in, and I have the whatever that code is. You
Mhm.
told me how to do it. Yeah. So it's nice because people can see rather than seeing just a clickable link, they can actually see it. Oh, that looks interesting. And so,
Yeah, and
yeah.
recognizable too. Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
love it.
Yeah.
Let's
Mhm.
I
show you
love that too.
guys how to find a a good PDF here. Okay. So I find the PDF. It says preview the PDF. Let's see how I can, how can I preview it? No. Oh, it's because it's not a PDF. It is a Google Doc. Let's see if I can. It's usually helpful if I find the actual correct um, file type. All right, this is good enough here. All right, so when you click on a PDF in your drive, this is how it comes up. This is like the preview. And what we want to do is click on the three little dots. Wait, use the more actions. I am not seeing it. Let me make sure it maybe open in a new window.
Are you in Sandra's?
I'm in my own Google Drive. Oh, here we go. Okay. So when I'm on the preview, what I ended up doing was opening in a new window. I don't know why it doesn't allow me to do it from right here, but once I open in a new window on this page, then I do see embed item as an option. So embed item, we just want to copy this here. And the good thing is the width and the height are provided, so you can tweak those if need be. And then let's come back to my sample site. Let's just see if I can work on the sample page here. Let me close some more stuff. My computer is going a little slow. Okay. I don't know what this is, but I'm going to replace it. So I add that in. I always like to center things, but totally optional. All right, jump into the bottom to save. And I think the default height and width that is in there is just typical of, oh, okay, it's a little bit smaller. I was going to say is typical of like a 8.5 by 11, but it looks to be a little bit more squat. But like I said, you can play around with that height and width if need be. But folks can read the PDF right in the page or pop out to view it in a new window.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really nice to have. As we saw with Sandy's site, you can just have previews stacked on top of each other, and it's a lot easier for folks to recognize what they're, trying to click to view.
Nice.
Yeah, and it really works if you have a PDF that's too big and won't go in the media files or whatever. You can't add it. So
Right.
you have to find, and I've tried to compress it and it never seems to compress small enough. And so then
Yeah,
you save
depending.
the day with the embed.
Yes, you don't have to struggle with that and try and compress and compress and compress.
Right.
Mary Jo, go for it.
Yeah, I was just thinking because I've had that happen when the picture's too big, and I guess it only happens probably with pictures, and so I just look for another one. But yeah, so when we were talking about PDFs, so maybe this is people already know this, and maybe it wouldn't help, but if you have Acrobat, you can change like you could change your PDF to a picture, you know what I mean? Just
Oh,
people use
like it's
Acrobat.
saving it as an image.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean I've done that before for different things, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work in that case. But my question was, I didn't know if maybe after people ask nitty-gritty questions, if you wanted to talk at all about the question that Mike sent in, and it's headed terms of service and privacy policy.
Yeah,
And
we
to
can
kind
we
of
can talk
explain
about
that.
that some. Yeah, so the privacy policy is already something in your website. Let me move my little Zoom bar. So at the bottom of every footer,
Okay.
we have the copyright line, and then off to the right, we have the privacy policy. So this is on every single page of MyLO. Every page has a footer, so the privacy policy is always linked to. So it's not necessary for you to have like a separate page that has this information. It's pretty general for all MyLO users. It basically just says like what we do with your information, which really isn't much. Um, if you feel like this does not reach far enough as far as like what your league's um, process is when it comes to um, keeping information or really it's to make sure that the consumer knows what is being done with their information. And this is talking really just technically about what the website does. Um, so that's where the terms of service came in. I had specified that it wasn't required to have it. But again, if your site goes beyond what is described in the privacy policy, you might consider having that just to cover all your bases. And it it would help you, I guess, to cover all your legal bases. But again, it's not a complete requirement, and I don't think I've ever seen any notice come from National about it. So I don't think that it's, been a problem before. But I think Mike was just, curious if that was something that was necessary.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? And I can also poke around my emails.
Oh, I have a question. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't raise my hand. So
You-
I think it was a couple of sessions ago. I I talked about doing a clone of a news article, okay?
Mhm.
And I said that it published it and I saved it as a draft. It happened again. I cloned something. I made some, I cloned the page and I went down and I saved it as a draft. Okay. So then I left my computer, came back, went to my content, manage content, looked at it, and there it had the clone and published. Yes. And I'm like, no, it's not. I didn't publish it. It
Hmm.
should be a draft. It was the strangest thing. So I know when you're cloning, it says, draft of live content, right? When you hit clone, it
Mhm.
says it's now, a draft of live content. Okay.
Mhm.
But I thought once you save that clone as a draft, yeah, it's just really weird. Okay, so clone
Yeah,
the
let's
page.
test it out.
Yeah, and I don't know if I just was looking at it funny and it actually wasn't published, but
That's something I'm also possibly thinking too. So
so
let's just go ahead and save it without making any changes.
mhm.
One thing that I think is different when you clone a draft, so it comes up with the button that says view published, and it doesn't give you that red background that we're used to when there's only a draft existing. But I think that's just unique to the clones when you are,
Okay,
first creating
okay,
them. You can also double check by checking the moderate tab. Oh no, it is
right.
published.
See? Okay, then it's not me.
Well, it said from published to
Well, let's
But if
check
you
that
go
again.
to your moderate, go to your content,
unpublished. This is,
Yeah,
the
it says this
published
is the
revision.
published revision. That's an odd
Yeah,
one because then when we're here, it says revision state draft.
right.
and it's green. It's not red.
Right. So the green means that it is the published version. Yeah, if you're saving it as a draft, it should come in as a draft.
Right. Okay, so it's not,
Yeah, it is not
because
you.
I
That
was
is
like,
definitely not expected.
because I was messing with something. I'm like, oh, I'm not ready to do that. And I went back on my website. I'm like, oh, wait.
But when you looked at the page, was there a clone page or was there?
Yeah, it said clone. Yeah, clone
No,
of.
but I mean, when you're uh, in clicking where it would normally be, did it say clone page?
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah.
I
She
mean,
hadn't finished working on it.
When, what do you mean by
I'm
that,
not-
Jennifer? When she clicked on where it was supposed to
was
be?
was the original page there or was the clone page there?
The clone page.
Was so
both?
if this was a sample page, the clone page would be there now?
No, the menu would not be replaced, but it's just that the clone would exist as a published page.
But where is the clone? Is the clone where
Just
the
floating
sample?
on the website. It doesn't have a place in the menu yet because it wasn't
Oh,
added.
okay.
That's unless, when you were cloning it, it's taking a minute to load.
Yeah. So
The
when you're cloning it,
options for menu settings would have been there. So technically it could have been added to the menu, but the issue is that it's coming in as published. We definitely want to see it as draft if that's what we're selecting when we're saving.
yeah. And so I was doing like a news article. So versus something that's actually in your menu, right? So
So then that's different too, because yeah, then the news article, when you clone it and it's coming in published when we're expecting it to be draft, that means the clone is immediately available and visible on your articles list. Yeah,
right. And so
so I totally
why
get
does
that.
why does that happen?
It's obviously, a hiccup. Let's
I mean, I
see.
just go in there and I unpublish it, and I think it goes, I think the original, I'm not sure if the original's still there.
Could be.
The original should still be there unless you've unpublished it, but they're not, the clone and the original won't be connected.
So if you went to sample page on the left,
Mhm.
is it going to be the clone or is it going to be the sample page?
It's the sample page.
Okay, so the clone page is just out there in
Yeah, only
clone.
because I'm working with a page, but like in Sandy's situation, she was working with an article. We know all published articles show up on your articles list. So the
Got
moment
it.
that she cloned that article and it was published, although she was looking to have it be a draft, being that it was published, then the clone was immediately available on the articles list, as well as
Got
the
it.
original.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you I'm a bear with very little brain. And she was just like, wait a minute, I'm not getting this.
No,
Why
no
this is important.
worries.
It's because it's an article. Thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah,
Sorry,
I
I'm
will.
slow.
No, you're totally fine. I will need to look into that with our tech team. But you were right on the money, Sandy. Once you notice that, the best thing to do is unpublish
Yeah.
from your operations,
Yeah.
and that should do the trick.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
not losing my mind. Thank you.
yeah. But I'll definitely have our tech team look into that because that's a funky one.
I'm going to ask a nosy question. Why were you cloning an article?
Okay, so we are very fortunate that we have a local newspaper called the Bucks County Herald, and we have an opinion. We get to write an opinion piece at least once a month, and so I have like a little image of the logo from the newspaper and stuff. So it's just easier to clone it and then put the content in versus embedding the new, you know what I'm saying? So it's just easier. So it's a standing kind of article thing that I post, and it's just
Oh,
easier
okay.
to do
So
it that way.
I think I
Yeah.
understand. You just edit it to be a new one. Okay, I
Mhm.
got it. I
Yeah.
got it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Got it.
Yeah. It's just because I have, I find it sometimes cumbersome to look for the new image, look for the image somewhere.
Oh, yeah, no, I get it. And good for
Yeah,
you that you have.
Yeah.
if cloning can save you even just one extra
Yes.
step. It's worth it. But yeah, thank you for bringing that one up again so we can investigate.
So how do you rename it, Sandy? Do you get rid of the other one and then rename it and save it?
Well, I leave the other ones there.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
you
I
leave
just
the
put
other
the new
ones.
title. Yeah, so the new title, it's so each article has
Got it. Okay.
name. And so
I can also go
yeah,
back.
we
Was it
have
over?
two. We have the newspaper, and then we have a local women's journal that we can they are accepting articles every month from us, which is
Wow.
really nice.
Good for you.
Yeah, see,
These are some
let's see.
examples.
Those are some, yeah, the women's journal. I'm trying to think where our Herald is.
Oh, is it
Anyway.
separate here or?
Mhm. Yeah, the Bucks County Herald, guest opinion.
Sandy does a great
Um,
job maintaining this. I have to tell you,
Awesome.
it's been a very impressive experice. So
And so
proud
I
of her.
list these here, but then
Hey.
I put it on the front page. It's complicated, but not really. But anyway.
Gotta have it. It's better to have it in multiple places. You know what you're doing.
hmm Just in case, because I know that if I just put like I don't put PDFs of the articles in because you can't search on PDFs. They don't come up in search engine things. So I actually embed the actual articles whenever I can, the full text, because I'm hoping that somebody will search for it. Anyway, or it
Yeah,
come up on a search engine, search result. So
right.
anyway.
No, I like that. And it is much more accessible. PDFs can be accessible, but it does take a lot more
Yes, right,
preparation. So
right,
throwing it on the website really takes care of that.
right. All
Awesome.
right.
Cool.
And I really love the screenshot of a video
Mm-hmm.
because that's another great way if you want to embed or if you just want to have kind of a thumbnail of the video. I think I prefer that to a link because again, you're giving folks a preview of what they're going to get into when they click on it. I love it.
Thanks. It's
And I
eye-catching,
really
you know what I mean? People like see it and I don't know, it just draws their attention, but
I love this slide too.
so do I. As a poll worker, especially.
Awesome. Yeah, I always love to take some time and we just get to show off all of your sites. Any other questions? I'm also gonna dig into email where I can. Mm, Yeah, there weren't too many issues that came up.
I think it's because everyone's a little bit overwhelmed right now with annual meetings and state meetings and transformations.
And technically, it's the time for state leagues to have their conventions, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's next weekend.
Yeah, yeah. Ours is
This weekend, yeah.
next month for California.
Do you have them every year
We
or do you
do.
alternate? Yeah, could we alternate?
Oh, smart. We alternate as far as virtual than in person. So this year we're doing
Oh,
virtual.
yeah, I was on an AUW one and that's what Michigan is doing. They're going every other year. So I was able to see that for this year.
Nice.
Yeah, wish
Yeah.
our state would Zoom it, but yeah.
Do you,
But
does
when I
your,
said every other, so this year we'll have the state and then next year it's the national.
right.
So
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it's biannual.
Yes, I forgot that. Yes. Same for us. Yeah, I don't have too many questions, really other than the ones that we've already brought.
Any new
Uh,
members?
New members as in like new
New
to
ones?
MyLO?
New, Yeah.
Or we haven't, I don't believe we've gotten any recently. The most recent one, I think, was a few months back. And now I'm blanking on which league it was. But yeah, we did get a new MyLO customer earlier this year. Um, yeah, we're just chugging along. Um, I had thought of a related Google Drive question, I guess. Does anybody want to see what it is to embed a Google Drive folder? Like if you have various files that you upload to Google Drive, um, you can embed an entire folder at once so that anytime you, let's say you remove a file, you add files, that embedded folder will update automatically. So you just have to embed the folder once into your MyLO website, and then once you make changes in that folder on your Google Drive, then we see those changes immediately on your MyLO page. I can go
That
ahead and
might be useful, Mary Jo, for board meetings. Put
Yeah,
it on.
I don't know that I would know how to do it, but what she's referring to is so,
Yeah,
there's about, I don't know, 8 documents for every board meeting. And so our president puts them
but
somehow.
we could have a folder,
Yeah, I
and
know.
then in the folder,
I
there's
get it.
an addition folder for each month,
Yeah,
and
I
that
get it.
would have the file. Okay,
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do it.
I know, but
If you can figure out how to do it, yeah.
I think, yeah, I think it sounds like a great idea. I'd love to hear this, Maris.
Okay, yeah,
Because we have a members only section, so we can do that.
right.
Right.
Yeah, definitely optional because you already have a way to upload your files into MyLO. But again, if you have multiple files that you're looking to get up into your MyLO site, and again, if they're each the files are bigger than 2 megabytes, then Google Drive is a great alternative. You can always, with Google Drive, upload multiple files at once. So that's, uh, especially coming from a MyLO user, that's usually a nice draw because you have to upload files one at a time in your MyLO site. Um, so let's see if I can remember because I did not look up the way to do it. Maybe I should. Let's see.
Or we could do it next time.
Yeah, maybe. Bed.
I think there's a video or something on Milo that tells
Yeah,
you how to do it.
I'm slightly remembering that we had some instructions
Yeah,
on
it's on,
that.
it has the embed code and everything. Or something. It has something there.
Well, maybe you can send that out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel badly that you're not prepared.
here we go. No, it's all right, especially when the question came to me last second.
Mhm.
So here we have the instructions. I can, let's see, go over it. I'm just quickly scanning to see if I can remind myself. All right. So let me drop this in the chat, and I'll also drop these instructions in the Google group for everyone else. My computer is going a little slow today. Yeah, maybe maybe I will take the time to prep for next time. Um,
Yeah.
I know it's a
You know,
little,
and Maurice, I don't know how many people get the message that you're, having a meeting, but maybe if you know for sure that that's what you're going to offer, you might want to do a little teaser and say that one thing we're going to be covering, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I don't know.
yeah. I'll
Just an
definitely
idea.
remind folks in the reminder that that's what we'll talk about. yeah, it'll be a lot easier to just, you know, get myself prepped for it, and then we
Yeah.
can talk about any
Yeah.
special tweaking that can be done to it too. Okay, yeah. So, oops, next session, Google
Okay.
Drive
Um,
folder.
you know what else would be useful to know?
Yeah,
Is if there's a limit on Google Drive and how much it can store. And if is there a limit on MyLO on how much it can store?
there isn't a limit on MyLO as far as the overall storage capacity. We all know the file size limit is 2 MB. Um,
Right.
the Google Drive, I don't remember what the typical, maybe it's 50 gigs. I can't remember, but I personally, I think I pay the 99 cents a month to get up to this size. Um, or maybe it was less. I just remember I was either very close to the limit, or, over. I don't know if they allow you to go over, but maybe I'm thinking 25 gigs instead of 50 is the default for Google Drive. But there's no limit as to how many Google Drives you can have. So if you wanted to keep using it for free, just create another Google account, and maybe separate your contents into those different drives. If you are reaching that limit, you could say, this Google Drive is just for our voter newsletters. This Google Drive is just for our board. Um, yeah, there's no limit as to how many you can manage, but they are tied to a Google account. So for any new Google Drive, you'd have to either, make a new Gmail, or you can always take an existing email you have that's not a Gmail, and make that into a Google account, and you should be able to get a Google Drive with that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
This is good.
Yeah, so sometimes we got to pull out the random stuff, and then maybe it's not so random once we get to talking about it.
So we got a couple regulars
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think last time Mike was on grandpa duty.
Oh.
And then I think Liz,
Yeah, Liz is
it was
usually.
it was a couple of sessions ago where she mentioned that she was either thinking of or on her way to retiring as the webmaster.
Yeah, she's trying to get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Good
This is
luck.
this is always
Good luck.
for this is always for anybody. If you ever need, training sessions, we always want folks to know about these um, office hours sessions that we have, but I know it can be helpful to do smaller sessions directed to a specific league when you have someone new coming in. So I can always offer, a session or two to get them started. Um, but we always have these office hours. We have a lot of training materials, written and video. So I would hope that anyone new that comes in wouldn't feel, you know, lost.
Yes, I agree. And I would hope that if us, if any of us, um, well, I don't know how we would know that there was a new member, or except for you telling us, Maurice, that we could reach out and say, hey, we've been doing it a while. We know some things, can't know everything, but we, happy to talk with you. We could just Zoom it.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's for peer support as well. We have these sessions for that, but also our Google group is for that.
Hmm.
I love to see when other webmasters help each other, not just for my selfish reasons, but to see
Oh.
everybody collaborating, and you can tell like folks are, picking up new tricks or new, tips, and are able to share those with others. That is the point of the group, the Google group for us.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is nice.
Oh.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The keyboard that you had up the top before that had that the omega, the alpha and omega sign is
Mm-hmm. Let
okay.
me go back to a page to pull that up.
Okay. In my mind, that's is a keyboard. Like it's not a. Is there a name for it? Like for example, like that. I wouldn't say that's a QWERTY keyboard. As in QWERTY, what we have on our, our traditional laptops or our.
Hmm.
I was just trying to find a way to like if I were to, would that be an international symbol? So if I was able to Google that, would they be able to tell me what that would do for us here? Is what I'm trying to say to you. I don't know how I would do. I don't know how I would just qualify. I mean, it reminds you of the alpha and the omega, is what it reminds you of.
Well,
Yeah.
It's omega.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
everything.
the symbol itself is omega, but that's just to represent the special character menu.
yeah.
But isn't omega everything?
I think
The
so.
beginning and, yeah, I think omega is everything, beginning and everything.
But that's just the symbol that the WYSIWYG
Yeah.
uses to represent this menu.
Okay. Yeah. I was just trying. I find I've discovered Copilot with Microsoft.
Oh, yes.
And so that it's amazing what that can actually do. Oh my goodness gracious. It's amazing.
It's like
Yeah.
a search engine, right? Or
Oh, it's AI.
oh, okay.
And so I find I put some things in there. I start just put a line there of information. It's amazing what comes back. It's so intuitive. I mean, it's almost human. I have to say, it's almost human.
Nice.
Yeah, which is kind of actually it's not giving bad advice, is what I'm trying to say.
Good. As long as yeah, as long as you can vouch for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I thought it was very yeah. I thought it was a um I I have a small business. I was working with my advisor, and he said to me, put because I'm a writer and I think I can't use AI. I couldn't. How can I ever? But he said just put it in there, and it will make just small suggestions, like little something that you just think, you know what, that's not a bad idea. Why would I not do that? Because, my ego is like, oh, I can't do that. But, I think that I just wanted to encourage people to give it a try in terms of it's like a second opinion, So I think it's kind of I was amazed by how well it works and um, it's very supportive also. It tells you you're doing a good job.
This is a great beginning, but you might want to consider.
Well, it's true. It says, everybody said, here's a few, and their idea of a tweaking, they're big on, this is happening in Grammarly as well. They're big on now highlighting dates. That they've become big on highlighting dates. It seems like, I don't know, it's like a fashion trend, that in the text, the date is highlighted, which I don't think is anything, or is bolded. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think,
I do
again,
that for events. Yeah.
that's not, again, is that an awful thing to do? Probably not for people, to make it pop out a little bit more, People
Um,
actually, yeah, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say that for those special characteristics, the only thing I use it for is there's one way at the bottom. It's a diamond, I think. And so
Yeah.
Yeah.
want to separate articles
Mhm.
or whatever on a page, I use
Yep.
those. So it comes in
Yep.
handy.
Yeah, very, very nice. Let me show an example of that. Oops.
Yeah, thanks for showing this again because I remember the diamond thing and then I'm like, where do I find that?
Yeah. So I have my cursor there. I usually just copy and paste because it's a lot easier than opening up that menu again.
Mhm.
But you just add as many as you want, and then we center it. I always suggest don't add too many because we don't want it to go into a second line. But having just a handful of them at the
Yeah.
very least helps to provide that division. The other
Mhm.
thing too, you do have to do it through HTML, but let me show you the HTML alternative. Um, since I know that the diamonds are my dividing line. I'm going to replace those with open caret, HR, close caret. So this tag, HTML tag, represents a horizontal line. Obviously, if I wanted to have the horizontal line, I would save it as full HTML because the moment you change it to WYSIWYG, it shows up, but you change it back to full HTML and it usually disappears. Oh no, it did stay. Let's just save it to show you what that looks like. But yeah, I love the adding those special characters as a much easier way to add the horizontal line because then you can keep it in WYSIWYG. But this horizontal line is very faint and then does have to be saved as full HTML.
I recently discovered a tilde.
Yeah, above the N in
Right.
Spanish.
Yes, it's very good. Very good. It's next to the one on the QWERTY keyboard. And I find it a little softer than, for example, maybe I don't want to use a colon. I find semicolons to be kind of harsh, just
Oh,
um,
like if you have a list or something and
I just find it's a little bit, anyway, so I was looking online and learning what that was. Anyway, yeah, it's, as I started using it, I don't know if anybody else has started using it as well, but it's, I read online, it means, in the world of math, means approximate, but it also can be kind of a fun way of, kind of little flirtatious, kind of fun thing to, use. So I kind of thought it's kind of my new go-to, it's kind of, so.
yeah.
Nice.
Or like exactly what I do maybe at the end. I would put those at the end like that. I make them a little bit larger, for example, make them a little larger, and then I separate them out, maybe put three, and boom, 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 and that's kind of just ways that people know that the page came to the end. So just a thought.
Yeah. Oh, I get you. Yeah, at the very bottom of a page.
Of an article, yeah.
Yes, because I think the classic way that I always see
Yeah,
is,
press release, yeah.
yep, usually those at the very bottom. But yeah, this is maybe a sleeker way of doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of waves. Kind of has a nice, easy feel to it. I think in this world we have spent so much time being so intense. I think, oh, okay, this kind of makes me feel, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
While we're in the home page, I wanted to talk about what are they called? Meta tags. Um, we've talked about these before a little bit, but what I want to focus on is what is it called? Let's actually go down to the meta tags and see. I think it's simply the page title. Yeah, page title. So every MyLO site comes with these default meta tags where there we go. The first part is node title, and this refers to this title. So the title of your actual homepage. Typically that is your league's name without League of Women Voters or without the LWV. And then there's a vertical bar to separate. And then the second portion is the site name, which is MyLO. So again, this is default. It may not be what the public would recognize as your league site. So what you can do to tweak this, if you wanted to add LWV, or I've seen other folks add the League of Women Voters of with the copyright sign. And usually I just copy that from down here. So I go to the footer, and obviously it's in a different order than I want it to be, but we remove the copyright. And this is going, let's see if I can just drag it over here. There we go. Is it the C or is it the R that goes after League of Women Voters? Now I'm getting confused.
C,
It is the C? Okay.
it's copyright.
Okay.
R is registered.
So even simply just adding LWV or like how I've added here, and then you could leave the node title since again, that is your league's name after the LWV portion, or you can retype it out yourself if you wanted it to show up different than what you have as the page's title. And then usually MyLO doesn't make sense to the general public. It is much more an internal term for us league leaders. So you can always add official website. This is not only going to be the web browser title bar, and that refers to, if you can see where my mouse is up by the other tab here, it says y.sample basic site, and that's my node title right now. It also, let's see, does it show? There we go. It is also a search engine result. So that is usually what is picked up when your league's homepage shows up as a result on Google or any search engine. So having official website in there could really help, especially if you're having trouble with folks not finding your site, or what happens sometimes is, let's see if I can try and recreate it. I'm just going to look up a league. Yes. Okay. So awesome. The MyLO site for this league shows up first. But what often happens is the National League's like league information page shows up right underneath it. Sometimes we see that page show up above the MyLO site. So it can obviously be confusing for the public. They just see, the league's name and they go forward to click on it. But obviously the page that loads is not their website. So changing the meta tags could signal to these search engines, because it says official website, or you've changed the title a bit, it will possibly better recognize that your site is the official over the league info page that the National League has. And the National League has this type of page for every single league. So the good thing is that there's a link to your existing website, and I think this is controlled through the member portal, I believe. Previously, before Chapter Spot, it was controlled through the database. So I would imagine it's similar process. So messing with the meta tags in that way could help your visitors reach your site quicker if they are getting hung up by that National League page.
Reese.
Yeah.
I just, for the heck of it, went on my phone and I just put in League of Women Voters and then I put Dearborn and ours came up right away. But in looking at it, there's a big space. I've never seen this before between my slideshow and then, where it says Dearborn, Dearborn Heights, and, a thing about what the league is. I've just never seen that before.
On your MyLO page?
Yeah,
Or
on my phone though, just on my phone. So I don't know why.
say that again. What
So
is it that you're saying?
bring it up. So move it up a little. And keep going. So keep going. So okay, so go back down. So there's a big go down again. I'm sorry. Before go down. No,
To where?
I
Where
mean
do you
come
want
up
me
to
to?
the top. Go up to the
Okay,
top.
gotcha.
So the space right here between this is a slideshow. So between here, well, you don't see what I'm pushing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, I'm so sorry. The slideshow and the Dearborn Heights, there's a big gap on it. I have no idea why. Maybe
No,
it's a one-time thing.
Oh, I see the gap.
I mean, it doesn't,
You
but
mean on,
if you pull it out, I don't know if that would be offensive.
It's on your phone that you're
it's just on
seeing that?
it's on my phone.
Yeah, but but I'm looking on my computer.
Yeah,
I
I know,
mean,
but I'm just saying, I
there's,
just happened to look on the phone. I was just curious.
but I
And,
think the computer doesn't look, I mean,
no, the computer's fine.
oh, okay, well, oh, I see.
I don't know why the phone looks
What
funny.
happens if you turn the phone sideways, Mary Jo?
Oh, okay, let me try it. It's, well, no, I mean, it's still the same. I figured it would be, yeah.
Okay.
So
But,
I think it has to do with the slideshow items. What I'm noticing
oh,
is,
well, they're moving. Well, let me move on.
so let me go ahead and explain. What I've noticed here is
Oh,
that
you're right.
this one is the longest one, the Unite and Rise.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
slideshow is what's making that extra space. So on the phone, the slideshow area is reserved to this height. Whoops. So it's holding the space for the tallest slideshow item. And then we go to other ones that are much shorter, but then the
uh-huh.
space is still being held, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
on my
So that's
phone.
why it looks, yeah, that's why it looks like it has some empty space, but
Thank
it's
you.
just trying to, not cover
Be
up.
consistent. Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah. Sandy.
Can you go back and show, I missed the beginning part of the meta tag where you
Yeah.
went to find that, because I want to change it.
Yeah. Let me, whoops.
I'm sorry, Liz, I need to
Start
sign
over.
off. Okay, so I'll see you in 2 weeks.
No
All
worries.
right,
Thanks, Carla.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Carla.
See ya. Bye.
All right, so
Okay.
we are in a draft of the home page, and it's at the very, very bottom. Whoops. And then we click to meta tags here on the left.
Okay.
And it's the very first one. So the basic tags opens by
Ah,
default, and it's the page
right.
title there.
Okay. That's great. So you'll put this up as a video and then I can follow it along. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get this up sooner rather than later. And then, yeah, we'll look at embedding Google Drive folders for next time. When will next time be? The 29th is going to be our next session. Yeah. So I will
Oh, boy.
see all of you then. I appreciate you all for being here. And we'll just
We
keep chugging along.
appreciate you.